Night one from Tempe was a thriller. First, it was Utah State who blitzed Tennessee in the first 2 sets and held on for dear life, clinching a 5-set thriller for an upset win. Then, second-seeded Arizona State, well, they laid down the law in dominating fashion on their home floor, sweeping away Coppin State. To present day we go, where tonight the Aggies and the Sun Devils are ready to duel as a ticket will be punched to the regional semis. We welcome you inside Desert Financial Arena as we take a look at the updated bracket in the Kentucky quadrant. We've already had a couple of upsets in this quadrant. Cal Poly knocked off 5th-seeded BYU. And as we noted, Utah State, they took care of number 7 Tennessee. On the floor now here in Tempe, and certainly it's going to be an excellent one tonight. Braden Bell alongside Kelly Berg, and Kelly, make no mistake about it, this is not David versus Goliath. A couple of big streaks going to town today. Arizona State has not lost on their home floor in nearly an entire calendar year. Meanwhile, Utah State, they've rattled off 22 in a row.
You've got the known in ASU versus the unknown in Utah State. All eyes today nationally on the Aggies after upsetting 7th-seed Tennessee. But make no mistake, last night's win was no fluke. Utah State is totally unfazed and taking on an ASU squad who's had their sights set all season on making the regionals after being upset here on this very court in the second round 1 year ago.
Against another group of Aggies in Texas A&M actually that day for Arizona State. You know, a couple of really motivated middles in this matchup. First for Utah State, and their lone senior on the roster, Tierney Barlow, she is a stud.
Aggies middle Tierney Barlow is one of the most dynamic slide hitters in the country. Great range, she sees the block really well. Utah State will even find her 12 to 14 feet off the net. For the Aggies to have success, Utah State has to set Barlow 25 to 30 times in this match. For ASU, led in the middle by Colby Neal, the senior middle blocker. Big arm, she's got the versatility to go off of 1 or 2 feet. Neal is a shutdown blocker, leads the Big 12 in blocks. Improved footwork, so that allows her to close the block really quickly, even when she's late. Watch for the Sun Devils to establish Neal early and often in the middle to really open things up on the pins.
Monster middles, there's something special about it, especially in the NCAA tournament. Both of these squads certainly have them. We take a look now at our starting lineups for both sides. Arizona State, they are loaded offensively. Keep an eye on Big 12 Player of the Year in Noemi Glover. Meanwhile, for Utah State, their best player happens to be their setter, and Kaylee Kofe. 57 assists yesterday in their win against Tennessee. She's 3rd in the country in assists per set. A lot of fun to watch number 20 for the Aggies.
She has the ability to create hittable balls from anywhere on the court. And let's not forget, she was the Mountain West Player of the Year.
Our head coaches in this matchup, a couple of seasoned vets who only know how to win. Rob Nielsen in his 6th year at the helm of the Aggies. He certainly has this program on a run unbeknownst really since the opening couple of years of the century. Meanwhile, Arizona State's head coach J.J. Van Niel, 84-13 at the helm of Arizona State, the 3-time coach of the year. That means he's won it every single year he's been here in Tempe. He is truly phenomenal. Ella Lewis will serve things. Arizona State in white, Utah State in navy blue, and certainly this should be an excellent second-round matchup with the Aggies jumping out in front early in set number 1. You know, Kelly, yesterday Utah State 25-15 in the second set. They were running away from Tennessee. Things flipped, but it was the resolve for Utah State that allowed them to prevail.
And it was all about the serve and pass game. Utah State struggled in the 3rd and 4th with the pass and then got it together in the 5th.
A dogfight through 5 sets. Meanwhile, ASU seemed like they barely broke a sweat against Coppin State, but you wouldn't be able to tell that in the early going as the Aggies score the first 2 points of the night.
This is what you're going to see from Utah State. They're totally unfazed. They have that DNA of winning in their blood, even though this is a very young group. And ASU is going to have to make sure that they come out with some intensity here.
Mara Stieglitz back to serve for Utah State. They run the slide. There's Neal right away, but it's handled by Utah State. Helgeson was there for the Aggies. Run right to the slide again, and this time the monster heavy right arm of Colby Neal.
Right on cue, Colby Neal, ASU establishing her early in the middle, and that's going to open things up for Bailey Miller and Noemi Glover on the pins.
Exact same play twice in a row. They say, okay, you got us once, we're going to run it again, and it worked out for them.
So effective. One of the hardest plays in volleyball to defend is that slide.
Senior from Sterling, Colorado, Sydney Henry to serve for Arizona State. An early 1-point lead for the Aggies as Glover tried to come over and dig that out, but it is Lauren Helgeson, and boy, she's an impact player. 3.5 kills per set.
One of the reasons that Utah State is so good is because even though they are out of system a lot, they're still able to terminate balls. And this is a great swing from Helgeson on the right side.
They thrive out of chaos, and they're very used to it. It's something Arizona State knows. Obviously, they're aware of it, as there's a service error, and the Sun Devils pull back to within 1.
That's going to be one of the small margins in this game, is the ability for ASU to win points on those out-of-system balls that Utah State has.
Bailey Miller, who's a star for Arizona State, struggled a bit against Coppin State, but she has herself an ace.
Service line is going to be absolutely huge for the Sun Devils. They want to try and hit seams in this Utah State back row, and you've seen this serve game get a little bit more consistent in this last month for ASU.
AJ Van Niel said in our chat with us earlier today, it's a moving target is the ace game. He's got 2 in a row right now. He's looking for more consistency. Bailey Miller in a rhythm early on.
Miller's just doing a great job. She's putting that ball between Andrea Simovsky and Delaney Lawson in the back row.
Trying for a hat trick straight, this time handled by Utah State. Kofe to set, big time swing by Helgeson, but the Devils are strong on the net. Neal able to dig that out. They work it over to Noemi Glover, and there's the first time Glover's had success tonight.
And really nice job by Sydney Henry of reversing the flow of this offense to go to that right side and to create a late block for Glover to go against. Had a little bit of a seam there going right down the middle of it.
Glover, a junior out of Rancho Santa Fe, California, a semifinalist for National Player of the Year, and as we already noted, the Big 12 Player of the Year as well. She's as good as it gets nationally.
And when we asked Coach Nielsen about defending Glover, he said, I don't know that you can stop her. Nobody's been able to stop her this year, but we'll try and slow her down a little bit.
44th in the country in kills per set, hitting at 345 is Glover. A one-person wrecking crew at times. There's Tatum Parrott, a transfer from GCU, her first swing, handled by the Aggies. Over near the scorers table was Simovsky. A chance for Arizona State here as they look to feed Glover, but it wasn't an accurate set. But it's the block party for Arizona State, and there's Neal.
That right side block is going to be such a key matchup for both of these teams. Utah State's pins, the ability to be able to swing high off the hands and to tool so that they're able to get the point. But great job by Glover and Neal redirecting those hands back to the inner part of the court.
Sun Devils were all over Coppin State in that department yesterday in terms of blocks. There were 8 individually by Ella Lamigora, but certainly throughout that night against an overmatched Coppin State squad, you could see the physicality of Arizona State's block. Did not work out that time, though, as Andrea Simovsky, the sophomore out of Serbia, comes up with a heavy hand.
That block did not get a touch on Simovsky's ball, and you can't give her an open net like that. It was a one-on-one, and she just went cross-court inside of where Glover was.
That's the benefit of having a Kaylee Kofe as the setter. She's going to read the defense. She's going to make the plays to set up her attackers for the best situations possible. Great effort by Bailey Miller to keep that alive, but it was all for naught. An ace right back for Utah State, who knocks this thing up at 6.
Utah State's serving plan, part of it is to go after number 3 Tatum Parrott on ASU's squad, make her handle a heavy load in that back row.
A lot on the native Phoenician in Tatum Parrott, who again will take that serve. Here's Glover with finesse. You know, it's so difficult to defend Glover for so many different reasons. You know she has that monster left arm, but then she can do things like that as well.
She just has such a deep toolbox of shots, and she takes such pleasure off of reading this block, knowing exactly what shot to get out of her arsenal and going to the off-speed tip there.
So Glover already with a couple of kills to lead things for Arizona State. The number 2 seed playing on their home floor, and it will be Tatum Parrott, who's been attacked early on. Back on the back line, comes up with a kill there.
And sometimes when you are an outside hitter and you're getting targeted on serve, it actually makes you stronger because you start to take it personal. It becomes a chip on your shoulder.
Bren Covell to serve for Arizona State. There's Parrott. They'll feed Kyla Presley, a member of the All Big 12 rookie team. Redshirt freshman out of Laurel, Maryland. Strong defense here for Arizona State. Miller will tap over. Good effort to lay out. Kendall Thompson tried, but the point still will go to the Sun Devils, and Bailey Miller already looking like what we normally see from her.
A much better start for her. She really pressed yesterday, trying to hit the perfect shot rather than to take what the defense was giving her and just to manage balls. But ASU right now already having success. That's 3 tips that we have seen against this Aggies defense, and they've all 3 been able to score.
Service error for Arizona State. But going back to Miller, if you just look at the stat line, yeah, it was probably her worst match in about 15 matches dating back to the middle of the regular season. But J.J. Van Niel said, well, part of that was the game script. We had so much success on the service line, blocking Coppin State. She didn't have that many attempts in that match, and when you look back and think about it that way, he's absolutely right. There's Tatum Parrott, the transfer from Grand Canyon, who started her college career west side of Phoenix, ending it, of course, with one of the nation's best programs.
Parrott has been really good. Even yesterday's match and into this match, just making good decisions on where that block is set up and the shot she needs to go to. And if ASU can get a lot of offense out of her, that's just a bonus.
We love that term X factor in this business. She certainly is one of them. There's a major swing and a kill on that far side from Stieglitz. She started out match against Tennessee yesterday red hot, looking to do the same thing tonight.
Stieglitz was really effective yesterday, swinging off the high hands of that Tennessee block, and then they're able to figure it out a little bit in that 3rd and 4th set.
Yeah, Stieglitz had 12 kills, 6 digs, and 3 blocks against Tennessee, so really well-rounded stat line for Stieglitz.
And you'll see that out of both of the Aggies outside hitters. They both have international experience, have played at the highest level on the world stage. So this type of environment does not faze them in any way.
Even though it is such a young Utah State squad, that's an excellent point you just made, Kelly. And it was something that Rob Nielsen, the head coach for Utah State, talked a lot about in the time even leading up to their match against Tennessee. They've been feeding Lauren Helgeson all year long, and she is only 6'2", but we were chatting about this before we got on air tonight. She looks like she's even taller than that.
She's got those long arms, so she's got a high contact point. She's got all the shots, too. That was a shot hitting 4 to 4. That's a tough angle.
3rd in the Mountain West Conference in kills per set for Helgeson. Tightly contested first set thus far. Covell does a nice job digging that one out. Nice set back to Miller, who will swing. It's handled by Thompson. Back and forth we go. That was tipped. No, it was not tipped at the net. So the point will go to Arizona State, but immediately the Aggies look over to Rob Nielsen and say, we should have another look at that.
Right on cue, you're going to have a challenge.
So our first challenge of the night will come very early on in set number 1. It was called on the floor as Arizona State's points. See whether or not there was a touch. That's what they're looking at here.
So you're going to be looking for whether any part of ASU's right side block, even if this ball were to graze a fingernail or a finger bends back, that would be considered a touch. One of the ways you're able to tell is whether the rotation of the ball changes.
First look,
from that angle, it's pretty undefinitive. Don't necessarily see a finger. This is probably a much better angle.
The ball was out of our shot, of course, our net cam.
I didn't see a touch on that angle.
Couldn't tell by the spin of the ball. Here's going to be a really good look, zoomed out a little bit. We'll be able to see the ball, of course. Also look at the fingers of that Arizona State blocker.
From that 3rd angle, I don't see a touch either. It almost looks like the ball goes through the hands, between the hands of Colby Neal.
There was Kyla Presley over there as well for Arizona State.
From that angle, it's possible that Kyla Presley, the right side blockers, her index finger, her middle finger might have touched the ball.
Dollar wager, what are you thinking?
I just don't think there's enough evidence. You have to have irrefutable evidence to overturn the call. So I would confirm the call as it was.
And they did. Kelly got the advantage there of seeing the call on the floor when she was breaking that down. So it does stay with Arizona State in terms of their point. It's a 3-point advantage for the Sun Devils. They have been just so good at home. We mentioned in the Open, of course, they haven't lost at home in 363 days. But the overall record under J.J. Van Niel over his 3-year tenure, 37-2.
It's been insane. He has put ASU volleyball on the map.
Done that and more, and from day one. In fact, he actually compared this Utah State squad to his first-year team at ASU. He made a surprising run to the Sweet 16. There's Bailey Miller, who started off red hot tonight. That's her second kill. Already a couple of aces as well.
Really good decisions right now from Bailey Miller. She's not trying to just hit with power only. She's off-speed look. She's throw tipping. She's mixing up her shots.
Sun Devils starting to become more activated offensively. It certainly seems like. That's another really good serve. Not a great first touch. Has the Aggies on their back heel a bit. Glover, step forward, take a big swing. Nice job by the Aggies defensively. Samovsky takes a big swing. Frame will dig that out. They'll feed Glover again. Kofe was there, but it's the point for Arizona State. And it's just the dynamic duo on the two pins of Miller and Glover that are making hay right now.
ASU's just being more physical at the net, too. They're winning all those net plays right now. Utah State struggled with being out of system, so they haven't been able to get Tierney Barlow and their middles involved. But the Sun Devils now out to a 5-point advantage here in the first set at Desert Financial Arena in round 2 of the NCAA volleyball tournament.
When J.J. Van Niel was talking to friends before he took the Arizona State job, some of them were advising him not to take the job. They called it a dumpster fire. He took this job in Tempe, and he has made this program what it is now. 3 years at Arizona State, and you see the tournament history for the Sun Devils. 4-2 under J.J. Van Niel, and certainly they have made this one of the marquee programs in the West.
Van Niel has resurrected this program. Let's not forget, too, he used to work in the world of finance, so he took a 95% pay cut to even start coaching volleyball.
His story really should be a movie. He also played club hockey at USC, which I wasn't aware they even had that program.
He's very dynamic. I mean, he does card tricks. You'll see that. He has 30 decks of cards.
We were lucky enough, he showed us a card trick in the regular season when we had one of Arizona State's matches. Pretty good stuff.
He takes it seriously.
Yeah, he does. He takes everything seriously.
Lauren Helgeson, though, has been a problem for Utah State so far. Already 5 kills.
Kendall Thompson with an ace for Utah State. Their second of this first set. And Thompson, a redshirt junior out of Idaho Falls, Idaho. What an outstanding story she is as a libero. She started off her career at Utah State as the team manager. Had to wait for a roster spot. It opened up, and now here she is playing a pivotal role. Neal is denied.
And this feels like with Thompson at the service line, she is the service leader in the Mountain West the entire conference. This feels like a rotation that the Aggies can go on a little bit of a point run.
You mentioned it. She's been so good back there at 38 aces heading into the tournament, 2 last night as well. They attack Parrott yet again. That's clearly been the strategy. And Bailey Miller just a bit heavy.
This is where ASU has to really dig in. This has been an Achilles heel for the Sun Devils this season, is allowing teams to go on longer point scoring runs beyond 2 points.
It was a 3-0 run for ASU before that timeout was taken by Utah State. Since then, the Aggies have responded with 3 in a row. They run a set for Glover. That's just perfect. Pinpoint precision from the Big 12 Player of the Year.
That's one of my favorite plays that ASU runs. Romy Glover starts completely on the left side of the court, and she generates so much power and speed, double block, and she just is hitting over everybody.
That momentum. She's already got a lot of power as is. Not a good first touch by Samovsky, and another ace for Arizona State. And it's Bailey Miller yet again. That's her 3rd already.
You can already see Bailey Miller is dialed in today. You knew she was going to have a bounce back effort today after really pressing yesterday. She's playing free. She's playing loose right now.
First team All Big 12 performer. And she is dialed in. Kofe will feed it to the far side. Helgeson tips it off for Faith Frame. An opportunity here for Utah State, but a free ball kill for Tatum Parrott.
And when you basically get a free ball, if you're Utah State, you have to be able to win those points, especially in a match like this where the margins are so small.
It's a seesaw battle in the first set. 3-0 run for ASU was followed by a 3-0 run for Utah State and countered with a 3-0 run again for the Sun Devils. Frame does a phenomenal job to keep that alive for Glover. First touch, the net for the Aggies to keep this alive, but that will end up at a point for the Aggies, and it's Simovsky.
Really smart shot by Simovsky. Instead of swinging high in those fingertips and hard, she just goes to a little off-speed look and finds the donut in the floor.
Helgeson for the Aggies. Wow. Stunning power from Glover.
It's almost unfair. Naomi Glover has such a fast arm. She's so explosive that she's hitting down into that shot when that block is still on its way up.
We have the benefit of sitting courtside for these matches, and the athleticism, the height she can get to. This replay does one thing, but to see it live is a whole nother.
To give you an idea, she touches 10-7. Olivia Babcock, the reigning player of the year, touches 10-6.
Staggering, and what a portal find for ASU out of Oregon. That's out of play, and the Sun Devils trying to run away and hide here in set number one. This 5-point advantage, their largest of the set thus far.
Utah State has to be able to minimize the errors against ASU and to be able to stop these long point scoring runs that ASU is having success with right now.
Sun Devils hitting .375 as a timeout on the floor called by Utah State. Certainly that hitting percentage even better than what ASU did in the regular season, where they were inside the top 25 nationally in their hitting percentage. Take a look at the Big 12 awards. We've already shouted out a few of them, and there were Sun Devils littered throughout this list, as you'd expect from a team that went 17-1 in the best conference in the country this year. Noemi Glover, the player of the year, J.J. Van Niel, the coach of the year, but it didn't just stop there.
You got Colby Neal, all Big 12 first team, and Bailey Miller. Let's not forget, Bailey Miller was a backup last year, and she didn't even play on the left pin. She was on the opposite, played sparingly. Faith Frame transferred in from Cincinnati. She made the all Big 12 second team, and Kyla Presley, a coveted freshman, made the rookie team. So it's a lot of depth being shown. ASU cleaning up on those awards. And the biggest thing with this Sun Devils program, and why in 3 years it has gotten to this national stage, is because of player development. You look at that list of players, 3 of them transferring in, and all 3 had good careers at their previous school, but they've been able to elevate into great players.
You know, last year, just to go along your point there, speaking of Noemi Glover, she played in all 32 matches for an Oregon program in the Big Ten. She had 263 kills. This year in Tempe, she's going to end up with over 400.
She's been the centerpiece of this ASU offense, and rightfully so, because she is an elite player.
Every single coach we talked to in preparation for this tournament, the conversation started with Glover, but it didn't end there. They said it's so tough to defend because, yes, 10 is great, talking about Glover, but obviously we've seen Bailey Miller do what she can do as well. Talked a lot about Colby Neal. Here's her sister, Jillian Neal, the little sister who was here in Tempe first. She's a service specialist, and an ace proves that point.
The serve game has been on point right now for ASU. 4th ace of this match, and we're not even through the first. This arguably is the best I have seen ASU serve in a first set this season.
And if there was a weak link of the offense, you would say maybe it is serving so far this year for the Sun Devils. Not the case so far tonight, and that's bad news for the Aggies, who are looking to pull off back-to-back upsets in this NCAA tournament after they picked off Tennessee last night. Noemi Glover back to the well. That's her 5th kill of the first set.
Glover just keeps you guessing as a defender and a blocker, because she just does such a good job mixing up her shots, and she disguises it well when she's going to pull back on that swing and go to the off speed.
Another 4-0 run now for the Sun Devils. They're in the red zone here in set number 1. Kofe will play it off. Major physicality for Glover alongside Lami Gora, Tempe, Arizona native, who was outstanding. We mentioned 8 blocks yesterday for Arizona State in their sweep of Coppin State. Back and forth we go here, and a crucial point for Utah State. That goes out of play, and the Sun Devils lead by 8.
And this big physical block of ASU is forcing Utah State's left pins to have to adjust their shots a little bit. You don't see Simovsky a lot swing 4-4.
Aggie squad that just looked so comfortable in the first 2 sets yesterday against Tennessee. Kofe will not quite be able to signal that in. She showed that a couple of times yesterday. Had 3 kills in their win against Tennessee, but again, just looking a bit off so far.
she's so effective too when she's dumping in that front row, but it's across the board right now. This Utah State team just having too many errors.
23-14, Sun Devils 2 points away from really making a statement here in this first set. Tatum Parrott, she dots it.
And for as much as has been made of Utah State's balance offensively, ASU countering with a lot of balance right now across the net. Tatum Parrott getting in on the act, going through the seam of that block.
It's a 7-0 run, and now set point for the number 2 seed Arizona State. Aggies just trying to reel and stay alive here. Neal up to Lamigora, now Parrott. Just out of play. And it snaps that 7-0 run.
But to have a 7-0 scoring run in the first set in the second round of the NCAA tournament says a lot about how well ASU is playing right now against a really good Utah State team.
Just that quiet confidence this team really always has, and certainly they've shown that off tonight. Lamigora will close the door in the first. The Tempe native who transferred back to play for her childhood program. And the Sun Devils make a statement in a big way in set number 1. 25-15 on their home floor. Arizona State's trying to move back to the regional semifinals for the first time since 2023. They're off to a good start in the desert. Braden Bell, Kelly Burke on the call here from Desert Financial Arena in Tempe, Arizona. Second round of the NCAA tournament as the Sun Devils rolled over Utah State in that first set, 25-15. Closed out that set, Kelly, on a 7-1 run.
It all started at the service line for ASU. Really tough serving, got Utah State out of system. Aggies siding out at only 40% in that first set, so the passing really broke down, and Utah State could not get their middles really involved in Tierney Barlow at all, and that's a big blow because she's such an important piece of this offense.
Sun Devils with those 4 aces in the first set. They only had 5 in the entire match against Coppin State last night in what was a sweep.
And you see ASU's blocking numbers are only at 1 block, but they applied so much pressure at the service line. It really is, you know, a false, it's a little bit misleading statistic on the block front.
One of the nation's elite teams in terms of blocks per set at nearly 3. That's 8th best in the country. Officials making sure everything's squared away before we get going in the second set. I get the sense the Aggies really need this one. And if they're going to contend for an upset tonight on the road against the number 2 seed Arizona State Sun Devils, a service error not the way the Aggies would have wanted to get things going.
And Utah State has to make sure in this second set that they are able to get Andrea Samovsky, their left pin, into a better rhythm and be able to find Tierney Barlow, their middle. Lamigora,
who ended that first set with a kill. Native of Tempe, Arizona. There's the physicality for ASU, but it's an unlikely source. Sydney Henry coming through.
You know things are going your way when you're setter. Sydney Henry is winning the one-on-one block battle with Stieglitz.
You could see just a little bit extra juice from the Sun Devils after that block, knowing that it was Henry. Bailey Miller, that was put on a tee, and she hit it out of the park.
This second set actually reminds me a lot of yesterday, but it's a role reversal. What Utah State was doing to Tennessee in the second set, ASU is now doing to the Aggies.
Early 3-0 lead, and it's still Lamigora back there for the Sun Devils on the service line, and a perfect start. If you zoom out to the end of that first set, it's now a 10-1 run, Kelly. Opportunity here for Utah State, though. They got to get something clicking offensively, and they do. Cross-court kill for Stieglitz.
Stieglitz taking advantage, really had a one-on-one matchup, and going with that sharp cross shot, 4-4.
Looking to switch things up. It's Tierney Barlow, their leader on the service line. Bailey Miller is dialed in. You said it early on. You can just tell in every facet of her game so far tonight, she is locked in.
And Miller, she's been so consistent throughout the season. So last night's performance was really an anomaly on the year.
5 kills. She's hitting .400, a couple of digs, 3 aces as well for Miller. Frame falling back. Keep that point alive for Arizona State for the time being. And that'll be
a violation.
Yep, on Arizona State. First call we've seen on the Sun Devils of that variety tonight.
Coffey, though, also a good server for Utah State, so this is a rotation Aggies have to take advantage of.
Really good server, but the Sun Devils handled it well. Coffey laid out to keep that ball alive. Here she is doing what she does best, setting, and it leads to a kill for Stieglitz.
And you're starting to see Stieglitz getting a little bit better offensive rhythm as Coffey has to keep feeding the hot hand of this Aggies offense. This is also a rotation where Utah State, since they run a 5-1, they have 3 hitters in the front row.
They are picking on Parrott, serving. We knew they would coming into this one, and Bailey Miller continues to keep up the good time. She's now leading everyone with 6 kills.
She's doing it in every facet of the game. It's been so good from the service line. Already 3 service aces in this match.
He had a streak of 14 straight matches, 10+ kills. That was snapped yesterday, and with the start tonight, he assumes she'll pick up where she left off. Neal and Glover, rejection ×2.
That was a key matchup in this battle between the Aggies and Sun Devils. That right side block, could they take away the angles from Lauren Helgeson and get there in time, because she plays so fast, this fast tempo offense of the Aggies, she beats the block a lot.
We're already shown she's a weapon at the service line as well. Neal's everywhere right now on the block. From left to right she goes, but the Aggies beat it that time as it's Helgeson who was able to elevate just enough.
When Utah State is having success, it's when they are chipping off the top of the block, going off fingertips or tooling off the outer blocker's hands.
After that hot start for Arizona State, Utah State has matched them point for point. 2-point advantage for the Sun Devils. Glover, cross-court, and Coffey, as great as she is, she couldn't catch up to that one.
So much speed. That's coming in hot to you. And if you don't get a touch on that block, that is a really hard ball to be able to dig from Glover.
Glover and Miller each with 6 kills. Now it's Jillian Neal back there for the Sun Devils. She's a weapon, and there, the second kill from Neal. Or rather, ace, I should say.
Yeah, going off the top of the tape, and Jillian Neal is one of the best servers on this ASU team. It's not often, too, that you see Neal in a libero jersey. That's kind of a sneaky move that J.J. Van Neal likes to do, put her in that second libero jersey so that you don't burn a sub on her.
Circumventing the substitution rules. Started doing that about midway through the conference season and has stuck with it ever since. So net violation on Utah State, it looks like, and it will be another point for Arizona State. So on a little bit of a run here.
ASU just capitalizing right now on some of the Aggies' errors. Lift was called on that play.
I beg your pardon, it was. So the Sun Devils by 5. Sun Devils will get that point right back. You mentioned how great the serve has been for Arizona State. It's gotten Utah State really unable to do what they do best in terms of attacking offensively. If you're Rob Nielsen right now, how do you try to change that up?
You put a lot of onus on your passers. Just have to have a better first ball contact. It starts with the passing for Utah State, and then you have to be able, on top of that, to get your left pins into an offensive rhythm so that when you do have all these out-of-system balls, they're able to be terminal with them.
Another look at a 7th kill of the night for Noemi Glover. She'll take a seat. Kyla Presley checks in for the Sun Devils. And Utah State shows some power as Helgeson. She's been so much fun to watch.
There's the speed that Utah State runs to the right pin. Helgeson swinging down on that block before it's even on its way up. So ASU and Lamigori just a little bit late to get there.
One of her big improvements, her ability to get to the ball fast, as you see right there. It was a great effort by Helgeson to try to dig that one out, but the Sun Devils still end up getting the point, and they lead it again by 5 here in set number 2.
It's ASU's ability in these first 2 sets so far to go on extended point runs that is really making things difficult on the Aggies, not being able to get any sort of momentum.
Benny Lawson handled that serve. Good first touch that allowed Utah State to try to piece something together. Now it's Miller who's rejected. And it was Kofe in there for the block.
Kofe's an underrated blocker. She might only be 5'8", and that's probably generous, but she gets up there and she's able to read that left pin really well. Great job of teaming up there with Barlow to close that block.
She's the heart of this team, and she can do a little bit of everything. Known for the assist numbers, obviously, but Kofe that time couldn't come up with a consecutive block, and it was a tough ask against Bailey Miller coming full steam ahead.
And I love the confidence that Bryn Covell shows in her senior hitter, going right back to her after she was stuffed the point before.
Sun Devils have done a nice job of just keeping Utah State at arm's distance away so far in this second set. Got off to a hot start. It was pretty even after that, and Sun Devils holding on to a 5-point advantage right now. Trying to take a commanding 2-0 lead in this match, but Mara Stieglitz continues to shine for the Aggies.
And where Utah State has had success is when they've had open nets or one-on-one matchups on the block. Stieglitz just taking advantage of that matchup with Presley.
Still a worrisome stat, though, for the Aggies. Stieglitz and Helgeson have combined for 13 of their 15 kills. Still nothing from Tierney Barlow. Miller is playing possessed.
And this is what's so tough about this ASU offense is you're finding the hitter who's in rhythm, but it changes depending on where you are in the set. And right now, Bailey Miller has the hot hand, so Covell just keeps feeding her.
Again, trading point for point at this junction. That's fine for Arizona State, given they're holding on to a 5-point lead. Running forward and a mega kill. There's the power yet again of Helgeson.
I like that look. Running Helgeson on that D-ball. It's a tempo set to that right back area. It's tough, too, to get a double block up against it. I would love to see Utah State go to this look more.
Looked very similar to what the Sun Devils run for Glover. They had Glover running that route yet again. Instead, they played off to Miller, who continues to just come through. She's hitting now close to 500. 9 kills already for Miller. She's just been unstoppable. The Aggies have had no answer for her.
And when you have Neal and Glover in the front row as blockers, especially as a middle, you have to hold there with Neal, so you're late to block on that left pin.
Again, she's still just been dialed in on the service line. Faith Frame was able to dig that out. Keep it alive for the Sun Devils. Helgeson, though, ends up coming through. And it's getting to the point right now, if you're Utah State, if you did not have Helgeson playing the way that she is, they'd be in really, really big trouble.
And for as balanced as this Utah State offense has been, it's been fairly one-dimensional today so far. It's been a whole heavy dose of Helgeson.
It is strength in numbers normally as Glover splits 2.
Glover just has such deep range. She's never hitting the same shot twice. So as a defender, you have to be able to adjust, and you're just guessing half the time where you should be set up. ASU, though, out to another commanding lead here in the second set. 15-10, Sun Devils up 1-0 on Utah State.
It's a 15-10 lead for Arizona State here in set number 2. They took the first set 25-15 over Utah State, if you're just joining us. Braden Bell, Kelly Burke on the call here from Tempe, Arizona. And Kelly, looking at the stat sheet, it certainly points to the side of the Sun Devils, hitting at 455 overall in this match. At 600, though, in this second set.
And really, it's been about the offense for both of these teams in this second set. Utah State is actually hitting pretty well in this set, almost 300, siding out better, too, at 64%. But it's hard to tell that because ASU has been so efficient offensively.
And again, not a good first touch, and it's been the weapon of Jillian Neal, who has been described as maybe the most liked teammate that J.J. Van Neal has ever seen. Everyone in this program loves Jillian Neal. They also love when she's back there at the service line as well.
Completely unfazed at the service line.
That was set up perfectly by Kofe. They go quickly, and it's Lauren Larkin, the redshirt freshman from St. George, Utah, picking up her first kill.
Now you're starting to see Utah State's offense look a lot more like the Aggies have been all season, really distributing it across the net.
They truly are one of the better offensive teams statistically in all of the country. Tatum Parrott, you know, when she's going, and you've got Miller, and you've got Glover, you've also got Neal.
Yeah,
good luck.
It's a pretty potent combination because you're not relying match to match on Tatum Parrott's offensive production. She's very good in the back row. She's a good server, so she's playing 6 rotations around for a lot of that as well. It's such a compliment to the depth of this ASU program. Parrott, the Division I record in kills for Grand Canyon at her time there. Kyla Presley also having a nice match right now. Really, it's just been pick your poison for ASU across the net. Timeout will be called for Rob Nielsen and the Aggies as the Sun Devils flexing their muscles so far in set number 2, much like they did in set number 1. You know, we mentioned Utah State. They're trying to make some history tonight, what would be their first ever appearance into the regional semifinals. They made some history picking up their first tournament win last night against Tennessee. They hadn't won a match previous to that since 2001. Certainly it goes to show just what a special season they have had. Utah State's had a tremendous season, 22 straight matches won, and the Aggies, really, this all started for Utah State in the non-conference. As Coach Nielsen said, we got our butt whooped, and so that really forged a humbleness to this team and also forged this tough identity of this team to be able to bounce back in conference play and to build off the really stiff competition that they played. You might be looking at that stat, or that record rather, of 24-7 and say, well, they probably haven't faced much adversity. That's not true. Semifinals of the Mountain West tournament, they were down 2-0, which they're teetering with that fate right now against Arizona State. They reverse swept Boise State. Now, I'm not comparing the Broncos to the Sun Devils. No disrespect taken towards Boise State. Arizona State's another animal. But Utah State has been there, done that in the postseason, and they have reverse swept to win. And the reality is that in this match, in this setting, all of the pressure is on ASU because the Sun Devils are playing at home. They're ranked in the top 10. They are seeded as a number 2 seed. So this is not a match that Utah State is expected on paper to win. So they're playing loose, they're playing free, and you're starting to see the Aggies look more like themselves here in the second set. RPI number 4 for Arizona State as we began the NCAA tournament. Kofe plays through center. First time that Tierney Barlow's really been involved at all, really all night long, but the Sun Devils are able to dig that out and keep it alive. Presley. Nice set, Covell. Parrott will tap over, and Tatum Parrott is right there with Glover and Miller. She's got 8 kills. For Utah State, it's going to be the Aggies' ability to be able to run down some of those tip balls and those off-speed shots that Utah State's had a lot of trouble with tonight. Mentioned Parrott, hometown product at a Phoenix Greenway High School. As the Aggies do get a point back, and again, it's Helgeson to snap a 3-0 scoring run. So Utah State's offense is in a better rhythm. That's one area that ASU is going to have to adjust heading into the third, is being able to slow down Helgeson and Stieglitz on the left pin. And you say that, and while it does appear to be that way, you look at the score, they're still down by 6. So it's and really, a long climb. It's just been because Utah State hasn't been able to stop ASU's offense so far. Sun Devils still hitting at 650 in this set. Video game numbers. Covell. Here's Kyla Presley. And just another weapon for Arizona State. Redshirted a year ago, and she has come in this season playing behind Noemi Glover for the majority of the time, but she's shined out in several matches this year. She has, and her blocking has made a massive improvement from early in the year. Kofe. There is the blocking ability of Presley right on cue. Unable to do it twice in a row, but a nice job digging that out. Faith Frame. Presley goes down line. That's in play. And the Devils are firmly in the red zone in set 2. And when you can have Glover and Presley both in sync like this, it's a dangerous 1-2 punch because there's no drop off on that right side when Presley comes in. Everything clicking. All the cylinders rolling for Arizona State. So far tonight, Barlow finally on the scoreboard with her first kill. It's coming late in set number 2, and it's Barlow, the lone senior on this roster,
certainly they got to get her going if she and her team are going to advance.
She's so pivotal to be able to set her, because you can set her in non-perfect pass situations. She had 15 kills yesterday in the first round win.
Attack Tatum Parrott on the service line again, and this time it works out for Utah State. So they pull back to within 6. Going back to Barlow, 4th in the country in hit percentage at .444 entering the tournament. Frame. Nice set. Miller will play finesse. Bodies flying all over the floor for this crucial point. Miller with a big swing, and it will be a net violation. You could see the net moving just a bit, and Arizona State to within 3 points now.
Kofe got tagged with that net violation.
So Ella Lewis, who had 2 aces last night against Coppin State, she's back there, the freshman out of the Woodlands, Texas. Colby Neal also back in there for ASU, their phenomenal middle blocker. Devils get a hand on that. Trying to go up 2 sets to none, but Utah State not done yet, as Stieglitz has 7 kills now on the evening. She's hitting well above 500.
Stieglitz has gotten herself in a rhythm here in this second set. Started off a little bit slow, but her production is pivotal, especially because Simovsky has been really slow to get going in this match.
Going to take a long, extended rally for the Aggies if they want to pull some magic here in set number 2. Miller, those are the best of sets from Covell. Stieglitz will have another one. She'll say, I take 2.
It's tough when you have Stieglitz and Helgeson on the separate pins, both in sync right now. It's a tough decision block-wise who you're going to really concentrate on.
There's so much talk about ASU's offensive statistics. Utah State, as you mentioned earlier, Kelly, they're hitting really well in this second set. 367 overall in set number 2. Just being outshined by the hometown Sun Devils. A pancake by Frame. Presley, that's a highlight reel point for the hometown Sun Devils.
Faith Frame does not get enough credit on this Sun Devil defense. She has had a number of pancakes, covering a number of tips in this match so far. She's all over the floor, but you lose sight of her because this ASU offense has been so efficient in transition. She's making baller plays right now.
Another big-time transfer portal get. She was all Big 12 rookie team last year at Cincinnati. Transferred to the desert and is a part of the Big 12 champion squad now, and certainly underrated, as you said. Another ace for Arizona State, setting up set point in the second.
And that serve has been such a weapon for ASU in this match. 6 service ace, and Sydney Henry's serve is on in a big way.
Fans rise to their feet as the Sun Devils took the first set 25-15. They're in position to try to take the second as well. Good serve by Henry. Stieglitz, though, not to be denied yet again.
Stieglitz has really found her footing here in this second set. And Kofe's doing a nice job of continuing to find her. You got to know as a setter who your hot hand is, and Stieglitz is certainly that right now.
Helgeson and Stieglitz, the offensive firepower thus far. Noemi Glover, not to be denied. And the Sun Devils make yet another statement in set number 2. 25-18 over Utah State, and they take a commanding 2-0 lead over the Aggies as we're at the break after set number 2. Offense, the story for the Sun Devils. They're hitting 500 so far tonight. They hit 621 in the second, led by Bailey Miller with 10 kills, Noemi Glover with 9, and Tatum Parrott with 8. It's been Glover, the star, all year long for the Sun Devils, and boy, you can see why with a heavy hand like that. Swing with the left hand to end that second set. And the Sun Devils have so many different weapons, so many different options. It's led them to be in this situation where they are just one set away from clinching a ticket to the regional semifinal, a place they went to in J.J. Van Niel's first year at the helm, where they were eventually beat by Stanford. Last year, they were hosting, and as we talked about earlier in the broadcast, they were upset in this second round against Texas A&M. They're hoping not to be denied by a different set of Aggies tonight. And certainly so far, they have looked the part of the #2 seed. They have looked the part of a national title contender. JJ Van Niel will be joined by Kelly Burke in just a few moments. It's Coach Van Niel walking over. And we toss it down to Kelly, who's with Coach Van Niel.
Coach, Utah State able to get in a little bit better offensive rhythm in that second set. Where do you want to see your block get a little more disciplined?
We're a little late blocking #5, and we're letting her loose. We just got to keep the service pressure on and try to keep getting them out of system.
What's going to be the key for closing out Utah State in 3?
Honestly, it's just continuing to play scrappy the way we've been playing. I think we've been putting a lot of service pressure on them, and that's worked. And then we gotta keep fighting for every point.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kelly and JJ down on the floor. And yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell from Coach Van Niel, the Sun Devils are rolling. Always stoic, always focused. Sun Devils are having a party, though, in this building. 25-15 in the first, 25-18 in the second. The Sun Devils soaring in the desert. Back in Tempe, Arizona, where #2 seed Arizona State is trying to punch their ticket off to the regional semifinals that will be in Lexington, Kentucky. The #1 seed Kentucky Wildcats swept away UCLA earlier tonight. Take a look at our highlights from the first 2 sets, and certainly it will be an excellent showing from Arizona State, hitting 500 so far in this, and it's been awesome stuff for the Sun Devils. Kelly Burke now down on the floor with Rob Nielsen.
Coach, we're able to get the offense going a little bit more in that second set, but how do you slow down ASU?
Man, you tell me, right? 10's hitting over the top of us in that back third of the court. I thought we just gave away a few too many tips, right? Some of their great swings, I don't know if we can defend them, but we got to take care of some of these little plays.
The passing for you has gotten much better in that second set, so how do you get Tierney Barlow more involved?
Yeah, hit 380. They're shading towards her. We just got to be willing to set her and give her some opportunities.
Thank you. Good luck.
Let's go.
Let's go, Coach Nielsen says. He's ready to go in set #3. The Aggies, their season on the brink. We take a look at our stats through the first 2 sets, and like Coach Nielsen said, 375 is what Utah State hit in the second set. They've just been outshined offensively so far by one of the premier offensive programs in the country this year in Arizona State. Everything else pretty similar. Those 6 aces for ASU, those proved to be critical in especially set #1, Kelly. And now you're in a situation for Utah State. It's all on the line.
It's going to come down to the Aggies defense. Can they get this defense going, cover some of those tips from and off-speed looks from ASU and do a better job with that?
Seldom used sophomore Bella Faria to serve to get us going in set #3. And Faria was attacked right away, and the point for Utah State.
And good to see the Aggies get their middles and Lauren Larkin, the redshirt freshman, involved early. The ability to use your middles will open things up for Stieglitz and Helgeson on the pins.
Mentioned Stieglitz and Helgeson. It's been that dynamic duo. They've combined for 19 of the 25 kills for Utah State so far tonight. Bailey Miller has been absolutely sensational. She carries on with yet another. That's her 11th kill tonight.
What a response from Bailey Miller after a rough match yesterday. She has been on point, and she's just been dissecting this Aggies block.
Almost like she heard the chatter. She heard the questions, unfair or not, considering the style of that game yesterday. And she has woke up and chose violence. Speaking of violence, there's Tierney Barlow. They have to get her going if they're going to pull off this reverse sweep.
I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from Utah State to start this third set. 2 points have come from their middle so far. So getting Barlow and Larkin involved, that's so important in this balanced Aggies offense.
Good serve by Helgeson. Played off to Miller. Dug out nicely by Thompson, the libero for Utah State. Frame, and here's Glover. High hands for the Aggies. They'll try Glover again. Dug out by Thompson. Long rally here early on in the third. It's the block for Arizona State. It's eventually cleaned up and pinpoint precision yet again.
ASU just continues to win the net play off of those overpasses and really anything coming up at the net, they're putting down. Bailey Miller has been doing such an elite job of literally putting everything home, in or out of system.
That wasn't even just power, that was accuracy as well, and Miller's just been awesome. Good read that time, let that fly by Barlow put some real force into it, but a good read by Miller, and ASU jumps out in front.
And I'm okay with that miss by Barlow because, again, Kofe's doing a nice job of really getting her middles going here in this third set.
If you're going to go down, if you're Utah State, you're going to go down trying to feed your best players.
Yeah, you have to feed Barlow a lot.
And they do again. And somehow the Devils get it over. Miller and Glover down low to try to keep that alive. That eventually will go out of play and a point for Utah State.
A nice job by that left pin of swinging hard off the hands of that ASU block. And Neal and Glover just a little bit late to get there with the hands on that press.
Pinballing around down at the shoe tops. Sun Devils able to keep that point alive, but it was just for a moment. Service error, meanwhile, will give Arizona State the lead back. Point for point early on in set number 3 after the Sun Devils won the first set by 10 and won the second set by 7. It's Jillian Neal. Already a couple of aces tonight for Neal in the black libero jersey. Miller. Not all that accurate. Was trying to find Parrott. Devils were able to get it across, though. Miller digs that out to keep it alive. Parrott with a swing, and that's out of play.
Utah State's going to have to rely on some ASU errors in the hitting department and then win the small margins that are going to happen here in the third set, making sure that they're covering tips and that the off blocker is in position.
It's been hard to rely on errors so far tonight, only 5 of them for Arizona State. I mean, they've just been dialed. There's an ace for the Aggies.
And the other thing the Aggies are going to have to do well is put more pressure from the service line to get ASU out of system. That has not happened so far in this match.
Squad from Logan, Utah. Out in front by 1 point. They've been peppering Tatum Parrott all night long on the service line. Parrott has responded with a really good night offensively, and that's blocked in play.
Okay, Lauren Larkin and Kaylee Kofe on that stuff. Aggies showing some life here in the third.
And you knew they would. Season on the line. This
Absolutely.
is a squad that's shown way too much throughout the entire year to go down quietly. Winners of 22 in a row coming into this one tonight. They knocked off number 7 Tennessee last night.
Yeah, and really one of Coach Nielsen's biggest concerns coming into this match was just the emotional hangover of last night because it was such a massive win in the way it happened too, with the Aggies going up 2 sets and then Tennessee grabbing all the momentum back and getting it together in the 5th set.
We described that first set tonight as a seesaw battle. That was a seesaw match against Tennessee yesterday in this building. Kyla Presley and Ella Lamigora on the block for Arizona State. It worked the first time. It did not the second, as Stieglitz is now up into double-digit kills.
Stieglitz has been very effective in picking apart ASU's block, and Sun Devils have really been stressed because Helgeson's been productive on the right pin.
There's Kofe back to serve for Arizona State. Presley runs forward, wasn't the best of sets. Neither is this one from Utah State. Sloppy execution for both sides. Helgeson will swing. Laying out to keep it alive was Miller. Parrott back across for Arizona State. Sun Devils trail by 2. They now trail by 3. Another big-time swing by Stieglitz.
Those type of big power swings is what it's going to take for Utah State to get back in this match and force a 4th. You need your pin hitters just teeing off on that ASU block.
Parrott, she responds. And you made a great point earlier, Kelly, about if you're constantly being attacked at the service line, that can get you going on the other end. I have a feeling that's exactly what's happened to Parrott tonight.
Early on, Tatum Parrott was getting targeted from the serve, and literally she used it to her advantage.
Now got 9 kills on the night, 2nd on the team. And Arizona State gets 2 points in a row to pull back to within 1.
The Sun Devils are getting good touches on the block, but they just need to do a better job of redirecting their hands.
That was all screwed up there. That point went to Utah State. So they're back on top by 3. Now it's back to a 2-point margin after the service error. 5 service errors now on the Aggies. They have 4 aces on the night. You're going to most likely live with that percentage if you're Utah State, about 1-1. Sun Devils on the other end, they've been phenomenal. 6 aces, just 2 service errors. Lami Gora is back there right now.
And one of their better serving efforts on the season.
And it has been really from the jump. Lami Gora. Aggies by 2, trying to keep their season alive in the third. There's the physicality. A monster block by Presley and Neal.
And that's a pretty easy play to read from Utah State, because in transition, you're out of system. You know that ball is going to Simovsky on the left pin. And so Neal and Presley are just timed up and putting up a brick wall at the net.
Said it earlier, but it bears repeating. 3 blocks per set for Arizona State. That's good for 8th best in the country. The biggest leap they've had really all year from last season when they went 30-3. They're so much more physical.
Yeah, this is J.J. Van Neal's most physical team since he's come to ASU. Everybody on the Sun Devil squad can touch 10 feet.
Said that stat last night. I almost had a hard time believing it. But you watch this team, and you can see that it is absolutely true. Utah State, meanwhile, the first to 10.
And so many of these ASU players, too, take blocking very personally. Colby Neal helping to lead that way in that department, and Ella Lami Gora.
Neal, like Noemi Glover, transfer by way of Oregon. A couple of the Ducks flew south, and they became Sun Devils, and it's been quite the resurgence for those 2 players individually.
And those 2 have been such an integral part of this team, because remember, ASU has an entirely new starting lineup this year. So they're back in this position on the precipice of getting to the regionals with basically a largely brand new team.
So many new faces. Bailey Miller is one of those returners for Arizona State, although she didn't play all that much last year for the Sun Devils. And there's Helgeson. It's a brand new looking Utah State attack here in the 3rd set. They are taking it to Arizona State in more defensive style. So far in set number 3, the Aggies lead by 3.
It's been a lot scrappier defense from the Aggies, and covering tips, and Oski looks much better.
Attacking Parrott yet again. Miller, big swing. There's a kill for Bailey Miller, number 13.
Miller can hit for power. She can go to the off speed, has great range. She has turned herself into one of the best players in the Big 12 because of the tireless work that she's put in.
Neal and Glover trying to make it back to the regional semifinals. That's where they were last year with Oregon. Really solid serve that time by Sydney Henry. Has Utah State off balance, but will be a call against the Sun Devils, and Aggies do get the point to go back on top by 3. Three-piece suit tonight for J.J. Van Neal, by the way. Notice that in your interview with him. That's big time.
A different look. We haven't seen that much this season, if
James
at all.
Bond, giving James Bond with a mustache. Noemi Glover is giving All-American, and she scores yet again.
Noemi Glover is just so elite in her ability to know the right shot to go to at all times. Her hang time is elite. She just makes such smart decisions on her shot making.
Devils just trying to hang tough while Utah State's been able to scrap out a solid start to set number 3. Big swing, but a good read by the Devils as it was Simovsky trying to go cross court. And just like that, Arizona State's pulled the Aggies back in a little bit. They're to within 1. Miller's got 3 aces tonight. He's been dialed in until that point. And the announcer's jinx, if you believe in that sort of thing.
It was barely a miss.
Yep. Looks as though J.J. Van Neal will actually...
I actually thought it was in from where we're sitting, but we are, I will also add, across the court.
We are, importantly, across the court. And you know what hangs in the balance here? Not only a point, but the announcer's jinx.
Maybe you can get it corrected here.
I don't subscribe to that sort of thing, but people at home certainly do all the time. So, of course, yes, they are looking to see whether it was in or out.
So if any part of this ball clips the white line, it would be considered in. From that angle, it looks out. You can see the
quick review.
Yeah, you can see the little sliver of black court.
The point for Utah State, and it's the Aggies by a deuce. They'll feed Noemi Glover. Samovsky was there in the back row for Utah State, but the block for the Sun Devils made it tough. Aggies able to scramble, stay alive, but not for long. There's Neal just throwing down the hammer.
Neal has such a big arm. The ability to bounce balls if she goes unblocked. And she's going to quite the find for the Orlando Valkyries of the Major League Volleyball. Was recently drafted in the second round by them.
As you said, she'll be playing professionally, and you can see why. There's power that's almost impossible to stop, it seems. Speaking of power, Stieglitz is having one of those matches that you're going to remember for a long time. Whether or not Utah State wins, who knows, but Stieglitz certainly carrying the jug for the Aggies.
And Stieglitz powering Utah State here to a 2-point lead in the third. Aggies not going away.
Utah State leads set number 3, 15-13, as we welcome you back to Tempe, Arizona. Braden Bell, Kelly Burke on the call, and Utah State, they're not used to losing. Safe to say that. They have not lost since mid-September. Currently the third longest winning streak in all of the country at 22 straight.
And just look at the company they're in with Nebraska, who's unbeaten on the year, Kentucky, another #1 seed. Really, really elite company, and to make it 22 matches straight is just unheard of.
Sun Devils have been without the services of Noemi Glover for the most part in this third set so far. She picks up a kill there. Pull Arizona State back to within 1. And if you're Utah State, you've got to be so pleased with how you've played, the scrappiness you've shown in this third set. With all that said, though, you look at the score, you're still only up by 1. Yeah, can you hold on?
You're going to have to hang on if you're the Aggies, if you want to live on at least to a fourth.
Major swing and a kill for Helgeson. That's her 13th.
Helgeson has really been the most consistent player for Utah State in this postseason. That's saying a lot too, because the Mountain West tournament, she had a stomach bug and she was playing down.
It was her flu game.
Yeah, she was hurt. I mean, not feeling well at all, and still managed to play really well in the championship and come back late in the semis.
You hear athletes talk about that sometimes. You got to go to that dark place, right? Find it. Helgeson's feeling good, and she's swinging hard. The Aggies on a run now. They're back on top by 3.
Helgeson's got some pretty gnarly angles for being a righty. You can hit a pretty sharp cross if you're a lefty on the right side, but she can manipulate her wrists as a righty.
Fighting for their lives in the NCAA tournament. Kofe sets that up, able to dig that out. Battle at the net. Stieglitz was right there. Ooh. There's feet frame nearly into our camera operator. Parrott back across, and the point for the Sun Devils.
Just elite defense being played right now on both sides of the net. Helgeson going into the stands here, courtside. Faith frame nearly taking out our cameraman.
This is going to be a great look. Yeah, you saw the shoe at the bottom of your screen. Phenomenal serve by Parrott. As the Aggies on their back foot, and it ends up in a point for the Sun Devils. They're back to within 1.
Those out-of-system balls have given Utah State a lot of trouble here today.
Chants of "Let's go Aggies." A solid number of Utah State fans made the trip down from Logan, Utah. That was not touched at the net. And the Sun Devils now on a 3-0 run to tie things up.
And you just sense a timeout is going to be coming right on cue by Coach Nielsen, because managing the errors, the attackers have ballooned for Utah State.
They're playing for their season. The Sun Devils trying to sweep them away. A 3-0 run for ASU. It's getting good in the third. Active home win streaks in all of college volleyball. Take a look at Arizona State. They're at 15 right now, and that's a perfect season. Lost the last time, though, in the NCAA tournament they played in this building against Texas A&M. They're trying to move on, though, to Lexington, Kentucky. They're in a dogfight here in the third.
That's why this ASU team is so motivated, is because there's still a handful of players from last year that remember that second-round exit.
Yep, that was put up on a tee, and there's Lami Gora and Kyla Presley were right there in position. It was Lami Gora who comes up with the skill.
Even though Tatum Parrott doesn't have any aces in this match, her serving is causing a lot of issues right now for Utah State.
10 kills, 5 digs, and you're right. Not a single ace so far, but she's been phenomenal for the Sun Devils tonight. Speaking of phenomenal, there's Helgeson yet again, and the Aggies snap that 4-0 run, tie us up at 18.
Helgeson is one of 2 players that ASU just hasn't had an answer for tonight defensively. The block has been late to be able to get touches on her.
Miller straight down, climbed up to the top step of that ladder, and there was just nothing Utah State could do defensively.
Miller almost glides in the air, and so much of that ability to put down that little throw tip is she added 5 inches to her vertical this offseason, which is unheard of in volleyball.
You can hear the tones of Dua Lipa. She's levitating. She's flying through the air.
She's more than levitating.
Bovell. Here's Presley. And that's going to be out of play. Nice job by Utah State just to stay out of the way of Presley. Tied up again at 19. And Utah State, with the way they're playing, if they're going to go down, they're going to go down swinging here in the field.
And this is who you want at the service line in this situation is Kendall Thompson, your best server.
Best in the entire Mountain West Conference, and it's a service error. Wow, how costly is that? ASU's into the red zone.
Yeah, that's a tough one because she has that ability to get opponents stuck in certain rotations.
Toughest part of a match right here, trying to put a team away, and not only that, put them away for good. Sydney Henry for Arizona State. Kofe, big swing. Helgeson knocks us up at 20.
Helgeson just continues to put this Aggies team on her back right now. She has been so efficient, and she plays so high that even this big physical block has not been an issue for her.
Brief stoppage as there's a wet spot on the floor. Colby Neal was doing it all by herself. The official says, hey, you know, let's get someone else out there. You're working hard enough on the floor. Wet spot's cleaned up. And a brief moment for both of these squads to take a deep breath. Utah State has 1 timeout remaining, ASU with 2. Glover. There's a kill for Noemi Glover.
And Glover just has that ability to find the high hands of the opposing block so well. The big, powerful arm comes in with a bunch of momentum, big approach, and going off the top of it.
3 aces for Bailey Miller. She's back there right now, serving for Arizona State, up 2-0. Late in set number 3. Helgeson will not be denied.
I like that look. That's not, you normally see Helgeson on that D-ball out of right back, but that's the first time in this tournament that we've seen her run out of middle back.
Sadie Warren will check in for Utah State now. And it will be Andrea Simovsky to serve in a critical point in this 3rd set. Now feed Glover again. It's dug out, nearly hit the scoreboard. It went up so high. Henry again to Glover, uses finesse. It's dug out by Thompson. Aggies playing tough defense here, trying to scrap and claw to retake the lead. Frame bends back to keep it alive. Parrott had to reach behind herself. Wasn't a great set. Another big swing. Still alive. Henry to Parrott. We play on. It tied at 21. Ultimately a kill. And guess who? It's Tierney Barlow.
One of the best rallies of this match, and Utah State going to their senior leader off a 1 foot, running their middle, Tierney Barlow in transition. Some amazing ups in that entire rally.
That was phenomenal on both sides, pouring everything out at this point of the match. And a timeout taken by Arizona State. They've got 1 remaining, trailing now by 1.
Utah State just doesn't go away. They do not fold.
If you're just joining us, the Sun Devils won the first set 25-15. They took the second 25-18. But towards the back half of that second set, Utah State started to get things rolling, started to click a little bit more, and they've carried that over into this third set, where it's been much more of a sloppy defensive struggle, if you will, than what we saw in the first set.
And the tempo of Utah State's offense, especially as they've been more in system and the passing has improved, has been an issue for ASU's block because it's been late to close at times, especially on the pins.
Sun Devils hit 621 for reference in that second set. So far in the third, just 200.
And it's not necessarily been because ASU's been high error. Utah State's just figured things out a little bit more defensively. They're playing scrappier, getting the balls, and they're putting up a little bit more of a block at the net.
Timeout is over, and Utah State knows they're just 3 points away from forcing a fourth set, putting some pressure on ASU really for the first time all night. Samovsky, the sophomore out of Belgrade, Serbia, who was clutch in that fifth set win against Tennessee yesterday. Trying to come through and be clutch on the service line right now. And it's a good one. Bad first touch by Parrott. Sun Devils were able to scramble to keep it alive. And it's the block. Neal and Glover tie us at 22.
Unbelievable job of Colby Neal getting there laterally, closing that block. She was late, but she still was able to dive over in time to take away this shot from Stieglitz.
And exactly who you want back there for ASU, Jillian Neal. Pofe tapped over, and that is a very heady play by Barlow. Aggies back out in front.
Barlow told us she's more comfortable off of 1 foot and has really gotten good at reading the opposing block. She's seeing forehands all season, so just going to a little bit off speed there.
A lone senior on this roster to serve. Miller. Miscommunication for ASU. Opportunity for the Aggies. Big swing. Miller won't be able to handle it. And it is set point for Utah State.
Stieglitz and Helgeson, it's been a two-woman show here in the third. Barlow's been able to get a little more involved as well offensively, but Mars Stieglitz continues to have big swing after big swing.
And the response in the big moments for Utah State in this third set. Fell behind early, but they have essentially gone point for point with the Sun Devils. And they're just 1 point away from staying alive and forcing a fourth.
Credit a lot of this, though, to Utah State and just the resilience that this team has shown, being able to fight their way back after really getting pretty well dominated in the first 2 sets.
Take a look at a very important score to both of these programs. Number 1, Kentucky wins in 4 over UCLA. That means the winner of this one will head to Lexington, Kentucky for the regional semifinals next week.
Kentucky, the number 1 seed, and won the SEC tournament in pretty thrilling fashion, too, in 5 sets.
The Aggies trying to go to the regional semis for the first time in program history. They're 1 point away from getting a little bit closer, pulling off some of that history. Tierney Barlow out of the timeout. Good serve by Barlow. And the Aggies take the third.
Utah State applying a lot more pressure in that third set from the service line, and the overpass was trying to be saved at the net by ASU, but tough play for the Sun Devils there to end the third set on.
They close on a 3-0 run. Barlow clutch. And it's the Aggies still alive in Tempe. The Utah State Aggies boogie their way through the third set, taking it 25-22, and now we head to the fourth. Take a look at the stats in set number 3. Much different story than what we saw in the first two.
Yeah. Utah State, much better job with their passing in that set. And even though they actually had more attack errors than ASU, they're able to terminate a lot of out-of-system balls. And they were just the scrappier team, frankly, in that third set. Also applied more service pressure.
Key stat there, Arizona State held to just 194 in their hitting percentage. They were way up there.
They were over 600 in the second set.
Yes. That man right there, Rob Nielsen, navigating his Aggies.
Yeah, Utah State, though, did a better job with their ball control. So it allowed them to get in a much better rhythm in that third set.
You know, Coach Nielsen, when he talked to us this morning, he said all the pressure's on them. We just get to play loose. We get to play free. They didn't really look like that through the first two sets. Now the pressure, though, starts to tilt a little bit towards the Sun Devils going into the fourth.
Absolutely, because ASU is expected to win this match.
For ASU on the flip side, you just got to reset, flush that one. Great job by Faith Frame digging that out. Glover. Miraculous.
A smart shot by Glover, just tooling off the hands of that left side block. And she continues to have an incredibly efficient evening.
Hitting above 500 at 520, 13 kills, 3 blocks as well for Glover. There's the physicality. Frame on the pancake to keep it alive. She's diving all over the floor. Glover dug out. Nice job by Samovsky. And it's a point. There's Larkin, and she's the X factor for Utah State.
And the difference we've seen in this Utah State offense the last set and a half has been the ability to run the middles, especially in transition, starting to get Larkin and Barlow more involved.
Stieglitz, who's been phenomenal attacking so far tonight on that service line. But another hammer from Bailey Miller, who's been the best player tonight for ASU, it must be said.
Miller making something out of nothing, because that was a brutal first contact. This set was just basically kept up and in play, and so Miller able to take what is not an ideal set and make something out of nothing.
What elite talent will do for you sometimes. It can make uncharacteristic or unsavory situations look A-okay. Miller digs that one out, but it was put up right on a silver platter for Samovsky.
And you're starting to see Utah State is capitalizing when ASU is sending over overpasses and free balls. Aggies are able to terminate, though, something we did not see early in this match.
An excellent point. And really, we didn't see a whole lot of overpasses, period, from ASU in the first two sets.
Passing's really broken down.
Yes, it has. Credit to Utah State on the service line. Henry. Neal, wow, that was a really great reaction time from Thompson. They'll set it to Neal, and that's just too easy for Colby Neal.
And that was almost a miss hit, too, because that net is shaking a little bit, but still able to terminate that ball.
You could tell it was a miss hit because you could see the ball coming off her hands. Normally can't even see it. The velo she can bring.
It's with so much power.
6'4", grad student out of San Diego. Her sister Jillian, who was with this program first. Colby would watch Arizona State play almost on a nightly basis when Colby was still up at the University of Oregon. Joined her sister for her final year of college volleyball, and now they play together in the NCAA tournament.
And the Neals, Coach Van Neal had to work for it to get, yes, no relation, but had to work to get Colby here. It was not just a done deal because her sister was on the team.
There are plenty of suitors for Colby Neal in the transfer portal. Guess you were able to get a hand on that. Glover goes straight down with it. There's no Emmy Glover yet again. Her 14th and still hitting above 500.
Glover does such a nice job of making the defense move with her, constantly keeping that back row guessing, gliding in the air, great hang time, and just tipping it down the line.
Bryn Covell. Overpass. Lami Gora couldn't handle it. Miscommunication now. Lami Gora on a free ball. Kofe. And the big swing and a kill for Samofsky. Arizona State did not take advantage of an opportunity there.
And ASU actually got fooled thinking that ball was going to the right pin. So the block over there on the other side, it's a one-on-one opportunity for Samofsky.
Mountain West champs are scrapping and clawing. Should be no surprise to anyone. Here's Parrott.
Tatum Parrott's made really nice decisions as an attacker. That's been the biggest adjustment for her coming over from Grand Canyon, is that you just can't be swinging down and hard on every shot. She's had to develop deeper range and a bigger toolbox of shots.
To you now, conference foes of Utah State. At least they were this year, although the Aggies will be heading off to the Pac-12 next season. There's a kill for Utah State to pull them back to within one.
Tierney Barlow is starting to become a problem, and Utah State does such a good job of using her all along the net. You can pull her inside of at 1 foot, you can bring her to the antenna. The versatility she shows.
She was silenced through the first 2 sets. Now she's come alive, and Bailey Miller, that thing was sizzling off her hand.
Right now, Miller and Parrott combining for a lot of offense on this left pin, and doing it with some major power at that. Good first ball. All 3 attack options available, so that middle blocker has to hold and is a touch late.
Overpass somehow. Still somewhat okay for Arizona State, or for Utah State, I should say. The block by Neal and Miller sent it right back. And that's too far. No touch, point Arizona State. They're on top by 3.
A rare attack error from Mara Stieglitz in this match. She has been very good throughout.
Now 16 attack errors for Utah State, uncharacteristically high. Some of that, gotta give credit to Arizona State. Rami Gora, good serve. Nice recovery by Thompson, and out of system, Utah State with a point.
That's a ball that ASU has to be able to win. Free ball opportunity, and your defense has to be ready.
Aggies have thrived in situations like that. What great effort by Kendall Thompson, by the way. And there's an ace. So 2 big points right away for Utah State. Unorthodox, and they pull back to within 1.
A really nice response from Utah State when it looked like ASU was getting a little bit of momentum, putting a little bit of distance from the Aggies.
Barrett's been attacked all night long in the service line. Presley is dug out nicely by Kofe. Far side, that is out of play, and the Sun Devils get that point.
And that was a tough second contact. Libero had to take it pretty inside, and so Helgeson trying to be able to hit sharp cross, but a little bit too much power on it. She gets pulled inside.
Sydney Henry for Arizona State. Fine serve. Dug out by Thompson. And straight down the ladder. And another kill for Stieglitz.
He was just taking advantage of an open net. Or just missed that blocking assignment.
Having a similar match to what we saw from her in the Mountain West Conference tournament when she had 21 kills, hit 425 against Boise State. Not quite to those numbers yet, but similar kind of output when they needed it.
And that's the thing about this Utah State squad, is on any given night, it's a different player stepping up. Andrea Samofsky was the Mountain West Tournament MVP. But she was honorable mention for the conference awards.
Strength in numbers for Utah State. When they're rolling, it's because so many different people can do it to you. There's Helgeson. Her name's always in the spotlight, and she's lived up to that tonight. 18 kills to lead everyone.
That right side offense has been really potent for Utah State, as ASU's block just cannot close in time to that tempo.
Back to a 1-point fourth set yet again. High set Glover will head up to the penthouse and send that one straight down.
Naomi Glover's ability to be able to touch 10-7, to be able to make decisions and change up shots in midair is such a luxury to have as an attacker. That block was up, and she just goes over the top of it with the tip.
Jillian Neal, good serve. Miller lays out for it. They'll target Parrott, goes down line, And that was not touched. The point for Utah State.
You're going to see a challenge.
You are right away. J.J. Van Niel basically in stride walked over to that challenge card.
He was not happy with the way that was ruled.
Sun Devils were really convinced over on their bench that it should have been Arizona State's point. They're looking to see whether it was in or out, of course. And a downline Parrott on that attack.
From where we're sitting, I thought that ball was in. But again, we are across the court. But I would also tell you that our run is across the court too, so.
They're not looking at the touch, of course. They're looking to see whether that was in or out.
But you can bundle a touch in there if there was a touch.
That's looking to be in.
From that angle, it looks like it touches the white line.
And it does. Call's overturned. And the point for Arizona State. And it takes Sun Devils on top by 3.
That's a big challenge, though. To win that challenge, have that call overturned, that's a big difference from all of a sudden it now going to a 3-point lead for ASU.
See if they can really make it bigger in this serve. Aggies side out percentage nearly at 58%. They've done a good job of this tonight. Block for the Sun Devils. Miller will set. Not all that accurate to Glover. Kofe. And it's Glover there yet again for ASU. They do take advantage and tack another point out there. And a timeout for Rob Nielsen and the Aggies.
And Glover's ability, normally it's your outside hitter taking the junk balls, but her ability to terminate on just some of those broken plays and to score has been such an asset for this ASU team. Sun Devils up 4 in the third.
2-seed Arizona State with a 4-point margin here in set number 4. They're up 2-1 over Utah State. Braden Bell, Kelly Burke chopping it up, bringing you the action from Desert Financial Arena in Tempe. Hope you're having a great Friday night wherever you might be. The Sun Devils on a 3-0 run right now, and they're trying to run away and hide from this pesky Aggie squad.
Trying to keep the gas pedal down right now against Utah State, and both of these teams playing well offensively in this 4th set. That
Not what Arizona State would have wanted out of the timeout. Service error, which has been a rarity tonight for the Sun Devils, just their 5th. They've had 7 aces. Helgeson on the service line. That was a laser beam. Handled by the Sun Devils. Down line, Glover. Oh my goodness.
Normally Glover as a lefty gives you a different look, so it messes with your eye work as a blocker. So not only do you have to take away the angle, you have to take away the line shot, because that's one of her strongest shots, right down the line, just going over that block.
The movement on that ball as well. Presley comes up. We talked about her improvement on the block. Fingertip on that one. Parrott with a touch. Frame goes down to keep it alive. Here's Presley. And another point for ASU, their largest lead now in the 4th.
Presley's really improved in that area too. Out of system ball, and her ability to terminate tooling off the block has gone way up since the start of the season.
It's another one of those products. Contributor this year, but into next year for ASU. Watch out. Look, speaking of watch out, Lami Cora.
And you just see a different intensity level and mindset coming out of that last time out for ASU.
First set they dropped in the tournament in that 3rd.
Lawson now in to steady the back row for Utah State.
Lavelle with a serve. Frame. Now Parrott. Aggies need this point badly. Can't fall down by 7, but they do.
And it's a tough situation for Delaney Lawson to come in. She really primarily has come in as a back row player, but now being tasked with trying to get something going offensively.
A 4-0 run for the Sun Devils. And Utah State takes their final timeout. Important to remember that. But it's at a point right now with their season on the line, down by 7. Don't really have much of a choice.
This is a crucial timeout for the Aggies to be able to come out of this timeout and respond to keep things close here in the fourth with ASU, who has come out with a different intensity level in the last few points and is terminating a lot of out-of-system plays.
Resetting the deck, if you're just joining us, Arizona State, they've won all 15 matches they've had this year at home. Utah State, meanwhile, they've won 22 straight overall.
A lot of winning.
A lot of winning. Something had to give tonight. Arizona State jumped out of the gates, hit Utah State with a flurry of uppercuts. Aggies responded with the Sun Devils wobbling a bit in the third, but Arizona State looks refocused so far in set number 4. We showed you already Kentucky won in their quadrant. They'll be hosting next weekend. Well, how about Creighton? They knock off Northern Iowa. So if Arizona State is to hold on, that would be their opponent in the regional semifinal.
And Creighton, a very good team out of the Big East that is a mainstay in the tournament year in, year out, typically makes some deep runs.
State of Nebraska, so much talent. Cornhuskers, of course, number 1 overall seed.
Got to be something in the water there.
Corn-fed, something like that.
That too.
Yeah, it's a play on words. Huskers, of course, are rolling so far through this tournament as well. The Sun Devils, the champions of the Big 12, against the Mountain West champion Utah State Aggies. Focus back in on this one. A 17-10 lead for Arizona State. Trying to slam the door shut on this upset-minded Aggie squad. There's the block, Lami Gora and Presley. Why not Parrott? She was there as well.
How about a triple block against the back row attack of Helgeson, and ASU's able to key in on that a little bit more because they know Lawson's into this match, and she's not a mainstay on that left pin.
Rovell stays back there, and that's a good person to have in that position if you're ASU. Things just kind of slipping away from Utah State right now. It's now a 6-0 run.
ASU is just forcing Utah State into errors with tough serving, out-of-system balls, and then taking advantage, being the scrappier team right now in this fourth set.
6 points away from advancing. Not done yet. Helgeson, she's flirting with 20 kills. She's now got 19. What a night it's been for her.
Helgeson has just been a force the entire season. And remember, she didn't play a ton last year on that right side because Utah State had some talented players in that position. So this has been her first year of getting a ton of reps.
It's a service error, so the Sun Devils officially in the red zone on the 8th service error of the night for Utah State. And we're going to have a challenge. Why not in this situation?
I mean, you have to, and you're going to get a challenge back if you're able to force the 5th set. Also an opportunity for Coach Nielsen to keep the mood light with his group.
And a free timeout.
Yes.
We're looking to see whether it was in or out. Arizona State challenged this exact thing earlier in this set, and they won the challenge.
We're going to have a dance-off with these benches going on.
Fun of this tournament, of course. Bench is keeping things light. And
oh, we got the worm.
Yep.
That's when it's getting real.
Here's a look at that play.
And tough to, that was such a quick angle. Tough to tell from that angle. We can see it again. It might have.
Super slow-mo. That might have tagged the line.
Yeah, I would agree. From that angle, it looks like it might have just barely cut the line. It's a little bit tough to tell because Parrott's leg is in the way.
And because of that, potentially the call will stand. That looked awfully close. Might have been just one of those situations where there wasn't enough. The call stands. Utah State had to. They were in a position where they really needed something. It's now a 6-1 run. Utah State down by 9 here in the fourth. Beautiful dig by Covell, but it's all for naught as the point will still go to Utah State. They're looking for a serious rally.
And that's what it's going to take. Mara Stieglitz, she was up and ready at the net.
20-12 ASU. Bailey Miller, she's had herself a memorable night, and it just keeps getting better.
Utah State just hasn't had an answer for Bailey Miller all night from the service line, from the left pin. She does such a nice job. Big approach and going down the line before that block and close to the antenna.
Closing in on securing another win in the NCAA tournament. Kofei. Covell, Miller. Aggies scrambling to try to keep this one alive. Again, Lami Gora, Covell, near side Presley had to go back on it. Dug out nicely. Thompson and a kill, and guess who? It's Stieglitz again.
Stieglitz has started to get in a rhythm here these last couple of points. So continue to find her. She has had success tooling off the block. That time going off the inner blocker's hands in Colby Neal.
It's Kofei back there to serve. That's a good one to have if you're Utah State. Presley, 3 away for ASU.
Kyla Presley has had a really nice outing today for ASU. Has been a great 1-2 punch with Glover on that right side. Super physical. She's done an excellent job of finding the hands of this block all night.
Sydney Henry, 21 aces in the regular season. That one's out. Remember, Utah State out of timeouts. They're going to have to do all of this without a stoppage of their choosing. Of course, ASU still has both. And Stieglitz, another weapon on the service line for Utah State. Henry will find Glover. The big guns are back, and Noemi Glover pulls ASU even closer.
That's twice now in this set we have seen Glover go down the line. Such a big high approach through the giant seam in that block. And Kendall Thompson, that's a lot of heat coming at you without a block touch.
Kofei. That's in. Wow, that was beautiful by Simovsky. The Aggies aren't done yet. Kendall Thompson for Utah State. Aggies trail by 8. Parrott handles. It's Glover. A heavy left hand. Aggies got a touch on it that time. They play to the far side. Parrott able to dig with it. Miller. Kofei. Scramble. Thompson kept it alive. Now Kofei plays back over. Frame lays out. Parrott across and the point. And it sets up match point for ASU.
ASU's scrappiness defensively has been the difference in this fourth set, allowing them to extend rallies and then being able to terminate those rallies because of some of the amazing ups they're getting defensively.
It's a volleyball school now. We'll let the crowd tell you how this point goes as the Sun Devils have match point in the fourth. That's it. Sparky marches on. The Sun Devils are headed to Kentucky for the regional semifinals.
And it was a very efficient outing for ASU offensively all night. But the Sun Devils getting it done in the fourth with their scrappy defense. The block came a little bit more alive. And this ASU team wanted to make the regionals so bad, has been focused on it all year, and able to complete it in 4 sets.
Kelly, isn't it fitting? They close out the fourth set much like they started the first set, 25-15. They do it in convincing fashion.
And do it with a very efficient offense. 0 attack errors in this fourth set.
Wow. They hit 533, proving that third set was maybe just a blip on the radar, and they really showed out tonight on their home floor as they win in 4 over Utah State. The season comes to a close for the Aggies, but certainly nothing to hang their hats on, or heads on, I should say. A phenomenal year for Utah State.
What a run for Utah State. Really opened some eyes yesterday with that big first round upset of 7 seed Tennessee. 22-match win streak, and even in the third set, put a little bit of fear in this Sun Devil squad.
Without a doubt. They made ASU work, but it was enough for the Sun Devils to come through ultimately. As they'll be joined here in a couple of moments by Arizona State's player of the game, assuming that'll be Bailey Miller after the performance she put forth. 18 kills. She had 471 in the match.
Just a great bounce back effort from Bailey Miller, who was really pressing yesterday, especially offensively, struggled passing the ball even. And she really set the tone for this entire ASU team, starting at the service line today with 3 service aces in that first set.
She nearly had a double-double as well. 9 digs. You mentioned those 3 aces, a couple of assists, and Miller, who plays 1A to 1B with Noemi Glover. She shined certainly at the biggest moments for the Sun Devils, who are taking it in with their student section right now. Their final home match of the year. They'll be heading to Lexington, Kentucky, as we said, and they'll be facing Creighton in the regional semifinal. That's going to be one heck of a matchup.
Yeah, really good test for ASU. I'm so excited to see what kind of deep run this Sun Devil squad may be able to go on. They have all the tools, have played really well. They've made it through the gauntlet that was the Big 12 this year.
Yeah. 17-1 in the best conference in America. Bailey Miller coming over to join us right now at the table, throwing the headset on. And man, it's got to be a fun night to be you right now, Bailey. 18 kills, 9 digs, 3 aces. You hit 471. You came out tonight. Clearly, you were locked in. How good did you feel out there early on, and it continued all the way through?
Yeah, I think that's all thanks to my teammates. I think that we were being really disciplined from the beginning, so it made it super easy.
What was the mindset coming into this match? You know, you were pressing a little bit yesterday in the first round, but to have the bounce back effort you had today was tremendous.
Yeah, I think just being what the team needed in the moment. After we went down after that third set, just knowing that I needed to bring my intensity out. We needed it less yesterday, so I think my performance wasn't as good, but I think I show up when the team needs it most. So,
Bailey, you were on this team last year when you were upset at home in this exact situation against another Aggie squad. But your team comes through in the moment this year. Yeah. You get it done. You're now heading to the regional semifinals. How sweet is this?
It's so amazing. I mean, I wish I could have done it with the girls last year, but this group is just so special. I knew that we were going to be able to do this and go even farther than this program has gone. So I'm really excited for the future.
What is it about this team that has it playing the best volleyball of the season right now?
I honestly just think that we're peaking at the correct time. That's like all of our training is like made to peak at this time, and so I think the coaches put so much work into it. And like what we're doing in the weight room, what we're doing nutritionally, what we're doing in the gym, it's all made so that we are playing our best right now. So I think it's all up to the coaches and then just us executing their plan.
A senior shining in her last ever match here on this home floor. Bailey, it's been so much fun to watch you really all year long, but to do it tonight in the NCAA tournament, extra special. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Congrats
Bailey
on
Miller
your growth this year.
and the Sun Devils get the job done. She got swarmed by her teammates, so that was a lot of fun. She gets the job done. The Sun Devils get the job done. We take a look now at the updated bracket. Kentucky moving on. USC Cal Poly will be starting right about now in Southern California on ESPN+. But the Sun Devils, they'll see Creighton coming up either the 11th or the 12th, so next weekend. And as we said, Kelly, that's going to be a phenomenal matchup.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see how the rest of this tournament plays out, because there's so much parity in college volleyball this year. So many 5-set matches, too. I mean, anything could happen, as we saw from Utah State in that first round.
The Sun Devils find their golden moments on their home floor as they take care of Utah State, and they move on to Lexington, Kentucky. So for Kelly Burke, I'm Braden Bell saying so long from Desert Financial Arena in Tempe, Arizona, where the Sun Devils have punched their ticket to the regional semis. So much fun bringing you all the action throughout the past 2 days. And it's the number 2 seed moving on, a statement win over Utah State. So long from Tempe.